Bhakta Vrinda Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Ishan Ishavatarakam Tat Prakasham Tat Shaktim Krishna Chaitanya Sangyakam Grantiraarambha Puri Mangalacharana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinirasmarana Hoya Vigana Vinashana Anayasa Sapal Nija Vanchita Purana Guruve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padeyara Asha Caitanya-caritāmṛta Kahe Krishna Dasa Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padeyara Asha Caitanya-caritāmṛta Kahe Krishna Dasa Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for your valuable association to read Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And we were discussing about the Srimati Radharani from text number 58 onwards. We covered till text 79. And just to maybe a quick summary to see if we can all remember using a whiteboard just to help us to get a little deeper and just to remember. So anyone remembers the three types of expansions of Srimati Radharani, which we discussed recently?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is it queens of Dwarika, consorts like Mata Lakshmi and Vrijanganas, the milkmaids?
Wonderful. So the three kinds of, amongst the Krishna Kanta Gana Dekhi Trividha Prakar Eka Lakshmi Pure Maheshi Gana are. So the Lakshmi Gana and the Mahishi Gana, or the queens of Dwarka, and the third is the Vraj Gana, gopis. So which category the Lakshmi Gana are said to be as? The Vaibhav, Vilas, right? We discussed the Vilasa Vigraha and Prakasha Vigraha. So Vaibhava, Vilasamsha. Right? And what about the queens of Dwarka? Anyone? Vaibhava, Prakash. They are like the reflections or pratibimba, bimba pratibimba. And what about the gopis? They are kaya vyuhu. They are the kaya vyuhu. Okay. Then we discussed about the 8 queens or the 8 principal gopis, right? So the 8 principal gopis are Tunga Vidya Sakhi, Chitra Sakhi, Champakalata, so Shri Radha Madhav and Shri Radha. So this is the order if you're seeing from left to right. So the left 4 Sakhis and then the right 4 Sakhis. I mean, we are facing the deities. Imagine we are in the Mayapur temple we're facing the deities. The leftmost is Tunga Vidya, then Chitra, then Champakalata, then Lalita, then Sri Madhava or Krishna, then Radharani, and towards the left of Radharani, or towards, if we are seeing Radharani, then towards our right is Vishakha, Indulekha, Rangadevi, and Sudevi. These are the 8 principal gopis who are like the Vrajanganas. And we also talk about the 8 main queens of Dwarka. Right? Anyone remembers the name? These are the names of 8 principal queens. So we can try to remember, and they would fall in this category: the Mahishi, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Nagnajiti, Bhadra, and Lakshmana. So just to remember this, Lalita and Vishakha. Lalita was on Krishna's side, and Vishakha is on Radharani's side. And Tunga Vidya, Chitra, and Champakalata. Tunga Vidya, Chitra, and Champakalata on the left, and Vishakha, Indulekha, Rangadevi, and Sudevi. It's not Sudev, sorry, it's Sudevi. Rangadevi and Sudevi are actually twins. So there are more details also about these Sakhis, what are their specific services, what they hold, and things like that. But that maybe we can cover some other day. So, but for now, you see this order. So everyone able to see? Yes? No? So who is on the leftmost here? Who can tell? So this is basically the darshan in the maybe in the arti time, the morning or the night darshan. So not very opulently dressed in the night time or the Mangal Arti darshan perhaps. So who is on the leftmost? There are 4 Sakhis on the towards, if you're seeing the deities on our left side. So anyone can tell the names?
Tunga Vidya.
Tunga Vidya, very nice. And then next.
Chitra Sakhi.
Chitra. And then Champakalata.
Champaklata.
Nice.
Then Lolita.
Lila.
Lalita. Then
Vishakha.
Madhava. Radharani is in the center, we all know. Then goes to the right. Vishakha. Yes, someone said Vishakha. Then
Indulekha.
Indulekha. And then Rangadevi. Yes. And then Sudevi. Right? So basically now we can name them here. For word of Sakhi, so that we understand easily. Because it's Sudevi. Okay, so I think that's next. So Tungavidya, Chitra, Champakalata, Lalita, and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Śrīmati Radharani, Shakha, Indulekha, Rangadevi, Sudevi. Does that help?
Jesus.
So Tungavidya, Chitra, Champakalata, Lalita. In Vrindavan, Lalita and Shakha Devi are there. Ashtasakhis are not there. So Tungavidya, Chitra, Champakalata, Lalita, Madhava, Shri Radha Madhava, center, then Shakha, Indulekha, Rangadevi. So Rangadevi, Sudevi are twins, we can remember they're together. And both the C's stand together, Chitra and Champakalata. So, okay, so this is the order. You can try to remember. And we also discussed the names of the 8 main queens. Anyone can tell? The 8 main queens of Dwarka. Rukmini, Satyabhama, that we know. We all know Rukmini, Satyabhama. So 6 more.
Jambavati,
Jambavati, yes.
Kalindi,
Kalindi, very nice. Nagnajiti, Lakshmana,
Mitra,
Bhadra, Mitravinda. These are the 8. Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Nagnajiti, Bhadra, and Lakshmana, the 8 principal gopis. Sorry, 8 principal queens. And these are the 8 principal Vrajanganas. Is everyone clear or confused? Any questions? Okay, so now we will move on to the next verse, which is text number 80 for today. And that's where we stopped yesterday. Bahukanta vinama nahe rasera ullasa Lila rasahai lagi bahuta prakasha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Without many consorts, there is not much exaltation in rasa. Therefore, there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. So a word is coming, exaltation. Let's try to understand what that. A feeling of triumphant elation or jubilation, rejoice, lively, triumphant. Okay, exalt. So basically, there is not much flavor or life, Variety, the Prabhupada mentions that, like variety adds to flavor, isn't it? If there is food with just some salt, right? Then one will eat it, it's fine, okay. But there won't be any flavors. But if there is some, let's say, black pepper and mustard seeds and ginger and cloves and cardamom and what else is there? Cinnamon powder, this powder, that powder. Isn't that food flavorful? Flavorful, right? So Prabhupada also mentions, so variety adds to flavor. So similarly, without many consorts, there is not much exaltation in the rasa. So even when we know that these gopis Even with the queen, sometimes there is mana lila, transcendental anger, and then there is transcendental union, and then they are fighting with Krishna at times. You have all seen the little Krishna episodes. They're fighting, sometimes they're teasing Krishna, sometimes they're making Krishna wear the gopi clothes and become a gopi. Sometimes they are asking for help. So this is a lot of flavor. Why? Lila Sahaya Lagi. To make the Leelas, the pastimes of the Lord, more flavorful. So without that, there is not much exaltation. Or ullas, the Bengali word is ullas. Ullas, harsha ullas, happiness, joy, triumphant life in the Leelas, in the pastimes. So basically one could question that why different expansions. So Lakshmi ji serves Narayan in a different way. Lakshmi ji does not do hasya parihasya. Today morning we were singing this bhajan Vrindavan and Namyasthana. Sri Ratnadas Thakur mentioned that Shri Radha Krishna are sitting in 8-petal lotus. We just discussed about the 8 queens, principal queens, which are like the 8 principal petals. Then they are doing hasya parihasya, but we don't hear that about Lakshmi and Narayan doing hasya parihasya. Lakshmi ji is primarily, of course, she is in the eternal consort of Lord Narayana or Vishnu, but she doesn't joke much with him. She's more in the kind of servant mood, massaging the feet of the Lord. But we don't hear the gopis massaging the feet of the Lord. Rather, they were willing to give the dust of their feet to Krishna for the headache, for curing the headache. So these are all the different flavors for Lila Rasahaya. So very nice verse here. Let's move on to the next verse, 81. Yes, Avani, please.
Hare Krishna. Taramatye vraje nana bhava rasa bhede Krishna ke karaya rasa dika lila svade. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Among them are various groups of consorts in Vraja who have varieties of sentiments and mellows. They help Lord Krishna taste all the sweetness of the rasa dance and other pastimes. Purport. As already explained, Krishna and Radha are one in two. They are identical. Krishna expands himself into multi-incarnations and plenary portions like the Purushas. Similarly, Srimati Radharani expands herself in multi-forms as the goddess of fortune, the queens, and the damsels of Vraja. Such expansions from Srimati Radharani are all her plenary portions. All these womanly forms of Krishna are expansions corresponding to his plenary expansions of Vishnu forms. These expansions have been compared to reflected forms of the original form. There is no difference between the original form and the reflected forms. The female reflections of Krishna's pleasure potency are as good as Krishna himself. The plenary expansions of Krishna's personalities are called Vaibhava-vilasa and Vaibhava-prakasha, and Radha's expansions are similarly described. The goddess of fortune are her Vaibhava-vilasa forms, and the queens are her Vaibhava-prakasha forms. The personal associates of Radharani, the damsels of Vraja, are direct expansions of her body. As expansions of her personal form and transcendental disposition, they are agents of different reciprocations of love in the pastimes of Lord Krishna under the supreme direction of Srimati Radharani. In the transcendental realm, enjoyment is fully relished in variety. The exuberance of transcendental mellows is increased by the association of a large number of personalities similar to Radharani, who are also known as gopis or sakhis. The variety of innumerable mistresses is a source of relish for Śrī Krishna, and therefore these expansions from Srimati Radharani are necessary for enhancing the pleasure potency of Śrī Krishna. Their transcendental exchanges of love are the super excellent affairs of the pastimes in Vrindavan. By these expansions of Srimati Radharani's personal body, she helps Lord Krishna taste the rasa dance and other similar activities. Srimati Radharani, being the central petal of the Rasa Lila flower, is also known by the names found in the following verses. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So, a lot of wonderful points here. So we just discussed about the Vaibhava Vilasa and the Vaibhava Prakasha. So Vaibhava Vilasa are the Lakshmi Ganas, and Vaibhava Prakasha are the Mahishi Ganas or the queens. And same are Krishna's expansions also. The Vaibhava Prakasha Vigraha, when Krishna expanded himself. So easy way to remember is that the queens are the Vaibhava Prakasha for Radharani, and Krishna being with those queens is the Vaibhava Prakash, the Krishna's expansions. So basically they are same, or like a mirror image, reflection, bimba pratibimba. But what's the difference between Vaibhava Vilas? Vaibhava Vilas is there is difference in the body or the rupa. So again, the point of variety is coming here, that in the transcendental realm, what's that point? Yeah, in the transcendental realm, enjoyment is fully relished in variety. So all these gopis, all these sakhis, all these queens, all these Lakshmi Ganas, they have different attributes, moods, services, but there is one core principle: to serve Krishna, to give pleasure to Krishna. Now, sometimes giving that pleasure could be getting angry with Krishna. Sometimes giving pleasure could be chastising Krishna. But the essence is to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord, right? In fact, we human beings, do we like variety? Yes or yes? We all like variety. Very simple. I mean, can we just sustain every day with eating khichdi and milk? No. Khichdi with vegetables, rice, dal, vegetables and milk. Can we sustain? Technically, yes, right? So we sustain it. It's not that we will die, right? Drinking milk every day and eating khichdi, even from the diet perspective, is very holistic. It has all the vitamins, minerals, and whatever is required. Maybe Prabhu can justify that, right? If you like vegetable khichdi, has pretty much everything, very holistic. And the milk also very good, and maybe one apple or banana. But we'll take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, same thing, every day, same thing. One apple or banana, 1 glass milk and khichdi, right? Mixed vegetable khichdi. 1 day, 2 days, weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, right? After it, one will say, Baba, is there anything else? Krishna has made so much variety in this material world. So many different types of fruits, vegetables are there. Why? Right? Because variety adds to flavor. So ultimately, this is coming from the Supreme Lord. All these gopis have different flavors or moods or mellows just to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. That's their only intent. So there's a very nice word used also, rasa lila flower. Rasa lila flower. The central petal is Srimati Radharani. So imagine a lotus petal, lotus flower has multiple petals, multiple layers. The central is Radharani. And then the 8 principal gopis, then the secondary set of gopis, then the manjari, etc. are the subsequent petals. Okay, so we'll move on to the very nice verse about Śrī Radharani. Again, a memory verse for those who aspire to learn it. Yes, Kṛṣṇa, please.
Hare Krishna, Tanvatinam, all devotees, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Text number 82. Govinda Nandi Radha Govinda Mohi Govinda Sarvasya Sarvakanta Shiromai. Translation. By His Royal Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Radha is the one who gives pleasure to Govinda, and she is also the enchantress of Govinda. She is the be-all and end-all of Govinda, and the crest jewel of all his concerts. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This was the verse you taught us in the Purushottam Mass. It is one of the most beautiful verses in the glories of Śrīmati Radharani. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. This is a very, very beautiful verse and not very difficult to remember. Right? Some of you may already remember, but let's do it again. Govinda Nandini. What does that mean? Ananda. Ananda means pleasure. Nanda Nandana. What does that mean? Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Nandana. The one who gives pleasure to Nanda Maharaj is the name of
Krishna.
Krishna. Yashoda Nandana. The one who gives pleasure to Yashoda is Krishna. So Govinda Anandini. She gives pleasure to Govinda. Krishna gives pleasure to everyone, but who gives pleasure to Krishna is Śrī Radharani. That Śrīmati Radharani is Govinda Nandini. Govinda gives pleasure to everyone. One of the names is Jivananda. Right? Recently a devotee came to Tampa. His name is Jivananda. What does Jivananda mean?
One who gives pleasure to Jiva.
Yeah, one who gives pleasure to Jiva. And who is the Jiva? We are all Jivas. Right? We are the soul. Jiva means soul. And who is that Jivananda? Krishna. Yes, Sri Krishna. Because he gives pleasure to all the Jivas. So, one devotee named Jivananda Das. So, basically, Krishna Das, but different name of Krishna, Jivananda. So, Govind Anandini. So, this is the female. Nanda Nandana is the male. Yashoda Nandana. But here, Anandini. Because she gives pleasure to Krishna. She is Radharani. Govinda, not just she gives pleasure, but she enchants also. Govinda Mohini. Can anyone think of another name very similar to this? Madan, Mohan, Mohini, right? Moha means to mystify or to kind of, put into illusion. Moha. Moha basically means to mystify or to put into illusion. So Krishna is called Madan Mohan, one who mystifies even the Madan, who mystifies all the jivas. But who mystifies Krishna or Govinda is Madan Mohan, Mohini, or Govinda Mohini is Śrī Radhika. Govinda Nandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvasva. She is the end all and the be all. Krishna Sarvasva Tomar Charanapi. Krishna, everyone is taking shelter. See, this is therefore Caitanya-caritāmṛta is very advanced and very PhD subject. Bhagavad-gīta, Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. But who is the Sarvasva of that Mamekam Sharanam Vraja? Is Radharani. Govinda Sarvasva is who? Therefore, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism is basically taking full shelter of Śrī Radharani. And Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is none other than Śrī Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Śrī Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Lot of people approach Krishna without approaching Radharani. This is not Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Gaudiya Vaishnavism is we worship Radharani together with Krishna. Without Radharani, we cannot get the mercy of Krishna. Krishna is strict. Sarvadharman Pari. But Govinda Sarvasva is who? Radharani. Sarvakanta Shiromani. We just read a few verses back also. Anyone remembers that word? Krishna Kanta Shiromani. But it was again about the glories of Srimati Radharani. Anyone remembers that verse?
Is Mahabhava Swarupa.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Mahabhava Swarupa Śrī Radha Thakurani. Sarva Guna Khoni Krishna Kanta Shiromani.
Wonderful. So here Sarvakanta Shiromani. Amongst all the lovers of Krishna, Sarva Krishna Kanta or Sarvakanta, who is the crest jewel, the jewel on the head, is Śrī Radhika. So anyone who wants to remember this words, wants to recite a few times, maybe 2-3 devotees can recite in a nice way. I'll do one time. Govinda Nandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvasva Sarvakanta Shiromani. Maybe 2-3 devotees can recite and try to absorb maybe the heart and try to recite without seeing. If you want to see, that's fine. Anyone? Yes, Dan, please.
Govinda Nandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvasya Sarvakanta Shiromani.
Very nice. Wonderful. One more time, anyone?
Govinda Nandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvasya Sarva Kanta Shiromani.
Oh. Yes, Kashishmataji.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Govinda Nandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvasva Sarvakanta Shiromani.
Wonderful. So everyone, please try to remember this verse. Not very difficult and an excellent prayer to Śrī Radharani, to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and tells about so many great qualities about Śrī Radharani. That how first she gives pleasure to Krishna, she mystifies Krishna, she is the be-all and the end-all for Krishna, and she is the crest jewel amongst all the lovers of Krishna. So let's move on to the next verse, 83. Who has not yet read, wants to read? Prabhu, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Devi Krishna Moi Prukta Radhika Paro Devata Sarbolokhi Moi Sarbokanti Sammohani Pora. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure of all goddess of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. This text is from bhāgavata-sevayā Tantra. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to you. Bhāgavata-sevayā Tantra.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So again, a very, very important verse about Srimati Radharani, Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kantai Sammohini Para. And from this verse onwards till text number 95 is basically explanation of this verse. So we won't be able to read till 95 today, but it's important to understand that this verse is so important that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is taking about 12 verses to explain this verse, which is about the glories and the nature of Shri Radhika. So let's go into the verses which explain about this verse from 84 onwards. Yes, who has not read, wants to read? Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Srila Prabhupada. Text 84. Devi kohi dottamana parama sundari kimba Krishna puja krirar basati nagari. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Devi means resplendent and most beautiful, or else it means the lovely abode of the worship and love sports for Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you.
Please tell Prabhu, you are such a scholar in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please tell something.
I just want to add one line in the last verse. In the last line translation, Srila Prabhupada said that she is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. So as I was not unfortunately I was not able to participate yesterday's class, but day before yesterday we discussed the internal potency. If we remember, first we discussed the Vishuddha Sattva or Sandhini Shakti. Then we discussed that Sambit, like the Shakti which gives the knowledge that who is Krishna, who we are. And this Sandhini is the, that sloka we discussed, that Mata Pita, everybody is Sandhini Shakti, the form. And then pleasure potency is the Krishna. So Prabhupada here we can see that Prabhupada is explaining in this translation. Then among the internal potency, Radharani is the highest. And somewhere I think we will see that it says that, I mean, everything has a form. like even if we look at that, even a table, a glass, they have a form. But when that form doesn't have any consciousness or knowledge, then it doesn't. But when that form has consciousness or knowledge, then the living entities, we have a form. Our soul, soul is a form, and it has a consciousness, knowledge. And when it's more knowledgeable and depends on according to the consciousness and knowledge, then, but like all the living entities, we have some knowledge, we have a form, but we don't have bliss or ananda. So which means that if someone has a full ananda, then we don't have to explain that that person is a form or that person has any knowledge. He's going to be there, and he's going to be in full-fledged, fully. So that's what Krishna is a full bliss, and so Krishna is supreme. We, the living entities, we feel bliss for a minute or for few seconds or few hours, but we don't. Our bliss is not like permanent. But Krishna's expansions, like Radharani, they have the permanent. So that's so supreme. So here, that line is Prabhupada is mentioning that in the internal potency, those three potencies, Radharani is the supreme potency. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, back to you. That's my little understanding.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful. So 84, right? So yeah. So the word text 84 just talks about the word Devi here. Right? So as we mentioned, that 83 to 95 will talk about the explanation of this verse. So this here, the word Devi is covered in text 84, which means two things. One, Parama Sundari, the most beautiful, shining, resplendent. And number two, the lovely abode or the town, the nagar. What kind of nagar? Of the where Lord Shri Krishna is worshipped, Krishna Puja. And what else he does? He does Krida also. So Krida means sports, Krida also means Lilas, playful pastimes. So that's the word Devi means. Okay. Let's see the next verse. Yes, Vedehi, interview.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Mai Krishna Yara Bhitare Bahire Yanha Nectar Pare Tanha Krishna Spure. Translation: Krishna Mai means one who's within and without our Lord Krishna. She sees Lord Krishna wherever she casts her glance. Haribol.
Thank you. One who's within and without our Lord Krishna. Is Krishna Mai. Very interesting. Can anyone tell a verse where we see within and without our Lord Krishna? Antar bahir avasthitaha. Right? Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsinga. So those who are Krishnamai, it means those who have unalloyed love for Krishna, then inside and outside they see only Krishna. She sees Lord Krishna wherever she casts her glance. Yaha yaha netra pade taha Krishna spure. Basically the pure symptom of love of Godhead. Wherever a pure devotee sees, a devotee sees only Krishna. Isn't it? I'm just thinking that this word comes at the other places as well. I'm just trying to understand where all it comes. Maybe in the story of Prahlad Maharaj. This is an important verse. Comes in the Mandalila also. See if it comes at other places. Krishna Mai. This verse also is in the Bhāgavatam. Very, very important verse. So how will we become Krishnamai? One who's inside and outside is Krishna. Maya javanika channam agya dhokshajam avyayam nalakshasya muradrisha nato natya datho dharo yatha. So Krishna is everywhere. Basically, Krishnamai is basically to Krishnaize ourselves or to spiritualize our consciousness. Right now it's Mayamai. Wherever we see, I see opportunities for sense enjoyment, opportunities for how I can, as we were discussing the story, like one who is a Vyavasayamai, one who is just absorbed in one's business. Inside and outside, what he or she will see is how to increase one's vyavasaya or business. Wherever he or she will go, whether in a flight, will sit with the next door person and try to see if one can increase the business. Everywhere you'll find opportunities to do business or increase the profits, increase the revenue. Similarly, a Krishnamai person will always yanha netra pade tanha Krishna spure. Over there, spurati means at that very moment, that very opportunity, one will see how I can use this opportunity, that chance, that time to increase my Krishna consciousness. Like a businessman will see how I can increase my business, right? So it depends. Now we are Krishnamai or Mayamai or family-mai, right? One who's completely absorbed in family will just see how I can protect my family, which is fine. I'm not saying to not protect the family, but it should not be at the cost of forgetting about the Supreme Lord. Krishna should be the center of the family. So basically we have to become Krishnamai, so that Radharani is Supreme Krishnamai. So Devi was the first word, Krishnamai. The next verse also is about Krishnamai, so we'll read this and then pause. Yes, Devki, Mataji, you want to read, please?
Yes, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, everyone. Kimva premara samaya krishnila swarupa tendra shakti tendra sahahaya ekarupa. Translation by His Divine Krishna Prabhupada Ki Jai. Possible. Krishna, oh Krishnamai means that she is identical with Lord Krishna, for she embodies the mellows of love. The energy of Lord Krishna is identical with him. Purport. Krishnamai has two different imports. First, a person who always thinks of Krishna both within and without, and who always remembers only Krishna. Wherever he goes or whatever he sees is called Krishnamai. Also, since Krishna's personality is full of love, his loving potency, Radharani, being non-different from him, is called Krishnamai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the first word Devi also had two meanings. What were the two meanings? Anyone remembers?
Resplendent, sun-shining, Paramasundari.
Beautiful, Paramasundari, yes, beautiful, resplendent, most beautiful. And the next references to?
Activities of love.
Sorry, Devaki Mataji, what did you say?
Activities of love, no? Showing love.
Activities, sports, and the nivasa, or the area where the Lord does. So lovely abode, where the Lord is worshipped and does various activities. Okay. So Devi Krishnamai. Now Krishnamai, the two meanings which one we discussed in the previous verse, is basically a pure devotee. Wherever she sees Krishna. Antar Bahira. Bahira Bhitara. Prahlad Maharaj, Krishnamai. All the great devotees. Then this verse is talking about that she is one in quality, or she is one with the Lord, identical with the Lord. That's also Krishnamai. So that's Devi and Krishnamai. So we can focus on these two. Okay, any other thoughts, comments before we wrap up for today? Who wants to say, add or correct anything? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purāṇa ki jai, Śrī Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaurava ki jai. So I think the next few days we're in the Kirtan festival. So we will be in the Kirtan. So we will not be able to read Bhāgavatam or Bhagavatam. But I encourage devotees to connect to the Lachva Kirtan live whenever possible. It will be practically whole day from morning 10 to evening 9 p.m. So it will be live telecasted, and also the Bhagavatam is at 8 a.m. all days. So you can also hear that. And plus I'll share some Prabhupada's classes. So this is our holiday time. Holiday time is to make the time more holy, so we can utilize the time we have by reading, hearing, chanting more. Thank you so much. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Vanchakalpatarubhishya Kripasindhubhyo Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. Hare Bol. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.